leadership11.com.
Welcome to Leadership Role. I'm your host, Dr. Kitty, and today we'll be talking about my impressions of the Tyranid Codex. So I picked this up when it came out, and the night before I'd seen the summary pages posted on Reddit or something, and I was pretty disappointed. Not a lot of good changes, a lot of what they call lateral changes, which is largely true. The book itself looks good, like it's pretty, but most of these new books are rather pretty. I think that's kind of a redundant thing to say now. I don't think Games Workshop is going to put out a book that just looks like crap, especially due to the fact that that might be the only selling point on this book. Well, it's not really that bad, honestly. I don't think. I think what the problem is with this book is, as they did lose the access to the big book powers, and they still cannot take allies. I feel that the Tyranids needed to be the big bad in this edition due to the changes to the game by adding allies and the new psychic powers, the whole psychic phase, really. The problem is they're not that. Or are they? Really, I think what a lot of the comparisons online are looking at are, if you compare this book to Eldar or Tau, yeah, that cheeseball tournament list is going to stomp them. There really isn't going to be a lot of chance. However, I've played Eldar with this new book, and I managed to draw. And it's not like I was playing against some hardcore 9 Wave Serpent spam garbage list either. There are 2 Wraith Knights, and they're still hard to kill. But it's not like I didn't have a chance. And actually, in the beginning of the game, it looked like it was going to be an easy win. So I don't know if that's really what the problem with the Codex is. I think it has more to do with maybe the Eldar and the Tau have a problem. They overpowered them. And, I mean, it's easy to do with the Tau. It's a shooting edition. They shoot. It's what they do. Tyranids are an assault army. They always have been. Since their creation, they're designed to move into combat and destroy things. That's what they're supposed to do. So, it wouldn't be weird that that's not a very good matchup, as in this edition, shooting generally trumps assault. So, but when you look at like the Space Marine book, which came out not too long ago, it's the last book released, the Space Marines are still exciting. They added things to them that are good. The grav cannons are just amazing. They officially inducted the planes, the Storm Ravens, and they already had the Storm Talons, really. And I have 3 Storm Ravens for my Blood Angels. I think they're great. I like the Storm Talons too. They're easier to kill as they only have the 2 hull points, but they have decent weapons and they're good anti-flyer. The Centurions, of course, are, with the grav cannons, are just super destructive. But I wouldn't say that Space Marines just completely destroy whatever they come in contact with. They do have problems with anything that beats their armor. So it's not like they're overpowered. They have a lot of fluff. In fact, I think Space Marines might be the best balanced codex out of the new hardback books. And I think the Tyranid Codex can match up against them very well. And due to the fact that Tyranids are an assault army, I feel that Space Marines had the opportunity for this heroic combat with the Hive Tyrant, and does Calgar destroy him or does the Swarm Lord get him? And that could be really cool to play. And Space Marines can definitely compete with Tau and Eldar because of their grav cannons and things like that. But the Tyranids didn't get that. Like, against a moderate book, I think they're good. Against, like, the Dark Angels or the certain builds of the Chaos Demons and maybe the and well, definitely Chaos Marines, they can have some pretty exciting pitched battles. But I feel that some armies are just going to push them off the table. So really, I think it comes down to how does the player use it. And there's a lot of subtle changes in this new book. Like they're very subtle, very like you do have to read it over and over again to find them. So really, to put the focus back on the Tyranid book, the things I like is this is a really small point, but what I really like is that they made Hive Tyrants Ballistic Skill 4. Now, I have a 3rd edition Tyranid Codex, and I noticed they were 3. I don't have the Nidzilla Codex for some reason. Like, that's just gone missing. I want to say they were Ballistic Skill 4 there, too. And in the last book, they went back to 3. Now they're 4. Apparently, between editions, the Tyrants spend less or more time on the shooting range, practicing, and this time they were practicing. Now, the reason why this doesn't really affect them is Venom Cannons are still blast weapons, so are Stranglethorn Cannons, and then Devourers and Death Spitters, the other ranged weapons they can take, are twin-linked. So you're probably going to hit enough times anyway. But, I mean, you're more likely to hit with that 3 than a 4. So, I mean, to me, it's a completeness thing. These things are supposed to be the leader bug. They should be the best at the things they do. That's what I think. I have had the opportunity to finally use my Harpy and not feel like I'm just being cheated out of a bunch of points. Against the Eldar, she did really well. She killed both Wave Serpents, Vector Striked some bikes to death, Vector Striked one of the Wraith Guard, which allowed one of the Hive Tyrants to finish off the Spirit Seer. No, she Vector Striked the Spirit Seer, and he zapped the Wraith Guard with the Warp Blast. That's what it was. And with the Twin-Link Venom Cannons, it seems really good. She's only 140 points with Venom Cannons. So she still has the Spore Bomb thing, which if it misses turns into D3 Spore Mines. And they got different and they're funny. You can move them now. They don't randomly move, but they only move 3 inches. If they run, they half that number. And when they charge, you have the number they charge. But for every Spore Mine that makes it into combat, at Initiative 10, the first one blows up. So you place a marker. For every other one, you add 1 strength to the strength per Spore Mine. So if you have, say, 3 Spore Mines and the first one blows up, the other 2 add 1 strength to the explosion, so it's strength 6. And it goes up to a maximum of 10. Still not quite sure how you get to 10. Still looking at that. So the Biovores also do D3 when they miss. And it looks like it's D3 per Biovore. But that's kind of hard to say. That's not written very well. The other thing is, like, the Warriors and Shrikes don't have to all be equipped the same way. So if you want to have the effects of the Lash Whip and Bone Sword, which is different, as it gives you +3 initiative and instant death on a 6, you don't have to have all of them having it, which is really expensive. It's 20 points per guy, even on monstrous creatures. You could have one guy and then a bunch with just guns or rending claws, which are only 5 points, so they're a lot cheaper. They did change all the Tyranid weapons, so they do different things, and it's not as good. You're going to be hitting less, but 2 sets of Tyranid melee weapons give you an extra attack, so you'll be hitting less. That's just the bottom line. I did proxy a game with the Hive Crone. Not impressed, honestly. Because she only moves 24 when she flies, it's hard to get that vector strike on what you need to hit. And with the 4 living missile things, it's a monstrous creature. She can still only shoot 2 of them. So it's no different than a plane, other than she only has 4, and they're haywire, very likely to get glancing hits. It's pretty unlikely she'll kill a vehicle with these things, unless you're really lucky. So, I think I prefer the Harpy over that. But, time will tell. Then heavy support, I tried out using my Carnifexes. They didn't do what I needed them to because they're just not very fast. But a lot of that I think had to do with me bottling up my guys in the wrong way. I just wasn't playing it right. It's a new book, so I'm willing to make tons of mistakes, trying a whole bunch of crap that doesn't work. And the Tyranofex also got cheap enough to use. I really like my Tyranofex. I stopped using him because at 265 points with the Rupture Cannon, it was just ridiculous. Like, he misses a lot. He's only Ballistic Skill 3. Sure, it's Strength 10, but you have to hit for it to mean anything. But now he's 205 points, and I feel like I can take him at that. I haven't tried out the Exocrine. Looks like he kills Terminators pretty good, as he has plasma gun shots that don't get hot. So that's pretty sweet. I did try the Moloch. His Terror from the Deep rule, where he hits models with the template, if he doesn't kill them all, he gets to do it again. Unfortunately, when I used him, he scattered off and didn't hit anything. And this, I think, is my problem with Molochs in general. Sometimes they'll do really great. Most of the time, they're kind of crappy. Like, they just don't do anything. They miss, they stand there. They're not a very good fighter. But now they're only 140 points. So it's kind of tough to say if it ruins them for that. But I like to look at it as it's a 140 point template. That seems like a lot for one template that's Strength 6 AP2. All the special characters moved to HQ, and I kind of like the Death Leaper, but I kind of feel like the two Flying Tyrants are better. The Tyrants did go down by about 20 points, so for the two Twin Link Devourers, they're, and Wings, it's 230-ish, somewhere in there. The Swarm Lord, I don't think changed at all, but he's Master Level 3, so he doesn't get 4 powers. You can't roll on the book powers anymore, so it's kind of like, meh. I don't know why you would take him over a Flying Tyrant. I guess if you took Guard, he'd be okay. But I did try a Walking Tyrant. He died pretty quick. I think Walking Tyrants could work, at least with the Venom Cannons, but it's hard saying. Old One Eye is still way too many points. He's still 220. His rules are pretty much the same. He even gets the Berserk Rampage for every hit he does. He gets another hit. But he's never going to get to combat unless the opponent just wants to see what he does. So, and his regeneration isn't better. All regeneration is better. It's one roll if you've taken any wounds, and then on a 4-up you get a wound back. So, a little bit different. The Prime went up in points. The Tyranid Prime, he, I guess if you run a lot of warriors, you could just throw him in these. He does have a 3-up save, but I feel like he lost a wound. I think he used to have 4, now he has 3. But I'm not sure on that. Still Strength and Toughness 5. And silly Death Leaper. I like Death Leaper because I like Lictors, but because I feel you need that Synapse, again, I don't think you could take him. And then the Turbogon, she was just beaten to death with a Nerf bat. To take him as troops, you have to take the 30 Gaunts, and she is 195 base. The Gaunts no longer get any of her biomorphs, so no adrenal glands, no poison, nothing like that. And the Gaunts she spawn can't move or assault, but they can shoot. Now, they did change that she can spawn them at the end of her move. In fact, I think, yeah, she has to spawn them at the end of her move. And they get to be placed within 6. So it is more like a transport. So, all in all, I'd say the book isn't terrible, but it is honestly probably one of the weaker ones. I think there might be some good builds out of it, but if you're playing friendly games, this will be a great book. If you're trying to be competitive, you should move on to Tower Eldar like everyone else. Like, that's just the bottom line. You might be able to surprise somebody, and if you're looking for a challenge, this is it. I think this is your challenge book. And there are definitely things that, I think in time we'll see that they can do. It is very new, but my initial impressions, I would say, is it is kind of weak. So go ahead and leave us your thoughts on Leadership 11. I'd like to know what you guys think of it. I'd like to know if you guys have played against it or played with it and what worked, what didn't work. Because I do play this army and I'll use any feedback I can get, honestly. So I guess until tomorrow then. All right.